So Doom 2, what a great game this was when it was first released. Some people felt like it was more of an expansion pack, but it really did push the benchmarks high for the original Doom. Maybe someday I'll dissect this game and we can go in detail with all of its glory. For now, I'll be talking about No Rest for the Living, which was a timed 360 exclusive add-on episode which was released back in 2010. It's actually not exclusive anymore ever since Doom 3 BFG edition was made. This was actually somewhat of a big news because the last commercial add-on for Doom 2 was Final Doom, released back in 1996. For anyone who isn't familiar with the Doom modding community, it's small but dedicated. There's essentially an endless supply of user-generated maps that really pushed the standards high from what it provided. If you think the hard levels in Doom 2 were hard, you haven't played Hell Revealed then. If you also think Doom 2 throws too many monsters on the screen, then you haven't seen Sunder. So what that means is, there's going to be expectations. Is this add-on really going to build upon the standards like what the community is doing, or is it going to be Doom 2's type of gameplay but done with marginal adjustments? Well, No Rest for the Living really builds up the intensity and challenge level from Doom 2. Even on the very first level, you will notice the level designers expect you to beat the original game before you jump onto this add-on. But with that said, it's far from the craziness you will see in the PC modding community, but that's okay. You don't have to throw in 100 monsters on the screen, because the problem with that is it really forces the player to use the BFG 9000 other than anything else. You also have the rocket launcher too, but I thought old school first-person shooters were all about the variety of weapons. If I encounter a combat segment which forces me to use two weapons to effectively get out of my dangerous situation, then where's the varied gameplay? Anyways, back onto No Rest for the Living. This add-on really does feel professional. What really makes it shine are the beautiful transition of pacing and combat engagements. This clip you're watching is a really good example. I'm fighting a couple of enemies step by step, but then I will start getting into a more chaotic fight later on, like the hordes of zombie soldiers and imps, and then a cackle demon ambush. A lot of the gunfights are generally double barrel friendly, but that's a good thing because everyone loves the super shotgun. But there will be moments where you really have to take out something else than your trusty sawed-off. The fights are very balanced at the end of the day. It really does feel like Doom 2's original campaign. It lets you how you want to play, but that doesn't mean the gameplay can't get really intense. If you were playing this add-on for the very first time, there are some unsuspectingly crazy fights that'll just pop out of nowhere and make you go, "Oh, are you kidding me?" Here's a really cool BFG 9000 combat segment right here. I'll explain more in detail of what makes this fight so cool after the clip. What makes that BFG 9000 part so cool is that every BFG 9000 on this episode is a secret weapon. You pretty much have to know the secret to gain access to one, and that fight right there is a really cool way to reward you for finding the BFG 9000, but it will also help you get out of that sticky situation you're in. Most of these maps really do these type of procedure, especially map 5 Vivisection, which is my favorite one in this episode. It really has a lot of moments where they throw in a decent amount of enemies and then all of a sudden starts pumping out even more. It really gives me this feeling of excitement, and it makes me feel like I'm on a killing spree. Overall, I really appreciate the level designers for making me feeling like I'm slaughtering an army of demons without putting 100 monsters in front of my face. Now I want to talk about the level of challenge and difficulty of this episode compared to other official Doom add-ons. I personally think it's really akin to Plutonia, since Plutonia was similar to Doom 2's gameplay, but it was much harder and challenging. No Rest for the Living isn't really on the same playing field as Plutonia. I really felt like No Rest for the Living is a great example of being unforgivingly hard. Once you play it on the first time, it might seem intimidating at times, but once you learn the secrets and know the map layouts, it won't be that bad. While it seems like I'm praising this add-on left and right, I just think it doesn't really give me that same feeling when I first played Doom 2. It's really good, fun, enjoyable, but it's not something I find it to be so miraculously built to become one of the greatest games I've ever played. It's essentially Doom 2 done in a higher standard. But it's not when I first played Doom 2, where I had no intention of what I'm going to experience or get myself into, which is one of the main reasons why Doom 2 was so memorable, the feeling of a new adventure, and it executed all those journeys very well. This episode is just building upon it, really, and it still does it well, but it's not on that same caliber of what Doom 2 did. The visual standpoint is another thing I need to mention. I can't really say they are the most gorgeous looking Doom maps I've ever seen, but they are very far away from being ugly or awful. It really does feel like the mappers tried to put in a lot of detail into the maps, and I don't see anything really wrong. They all have a theme. So personally, it's really solid, and there's not much I can really complain about, but I can't really see myself overly praising it at the same time. No Rest for the Living is simply a solid add-on to Doom 2. If you ask me, it's really the definitive thigh flesh consumed for Doom 2. The gameplay feels similar to the original campaign's gameplay, but it is more challenging and harder on ultra-violence. There might be that audience who frown on it because it's not harder than what the community is making, but difficulty doesn't always mean it's better. My favorite Doom 1 episode was the very first one, and it is so stupidly easy once you know all the secrets for every level that it doesn't challenge me anymore. However, I love episode 1 for the great flow and feel it has. It's really fun to play it once you know all the levels very well, simply. To this day, I still enjoy it wholeheartedly, even though it is much easier than episode 4. With that said, I really like the second episode for Doom 2, and I've played it a lot. It really feels like a worthy second episode, since when I first played the original campaign for this game, I just had to keep on playing it, and this one really gave me that same feeling. To end it all, thank you Nerve Software for creating this add-on. You guys gave me a lot of fun times.